This episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by 212 Degrees Construction Group. Local and trusted remodeling.
I think my biggest fear is just that we'll get priced out. We'll be too locked down on housing types we allow, such that we become a little too bougie, like $1 million homes everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yes.
I want this to be a place that people have a chance in.
Hey, everybody. You're listening to Area Code Batavia, a podcast about what it means to belong in Batavia, Illinois. Today on the show, a conversation with Dustin Pieper about whether or not Batavia is a strong town. I am your host, Richard Clark, and I am here today with a co-host, Alexa Swidenbank. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. So Alexa, do you want to talk a little bit about like what people need to know about you in order to like listen to you and care what you have to say?
Oh gosh.
Relate to you at the very least. So we got to know each other at Sturdy Shelter.
Yes.
You have helped put together a lot of our events because you run events over there.
I do.
You also have a deep knowledge and awareness of Batavia and honestly what the podcast is. And I also saw an opportunity to like have someone to dialogue with as I introduce people because I have gotten tired of talking to myself on mic.
It's lonely.
It's the worst. It's so lonely.
I mean, I didn't grow up here. Neither did you.
Yeah, neither of us grew up here, which is great. I believe strongly in the value of outsider perspective, so we have that. Where did you grow up?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Westlake, Ohio.
Westlake, Ohio.
I went to high school with Jake and Logan Paul.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Two awesome
Can you
guys.
connect me?
Yeah. Two awesome, normal guys.
So let's do contrasts.
Sure.
I have kids. You do not.
Correct. We both have dogs.
We both have dogs.
Yeah.
That was mine in the background.
Sure.
If people heard. You work in hospitality, I guess.
I do.
Do you like working in hospitality? I guess you have to say yes.
I do. I mean, I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah, it's like your whole thing.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm like your typical like hospitality person. Socially, it doesn't give me life. It doesn't charge my batteries, but I like creating an experience for people. But I was a poetry major in college, so this couldn't be farther from what I...
Yeah.
Farther?
I don't know. You're the English major.
I was like, oh, that's not good. From what I studied, so but it'll like they allow me to be really creative, which is nice. I mean, maybe that's like why you're like, why can someone relate to you? It's like I just love Batavia, and I didn't grow up here, but I feel very invested in it.
Yeah. What made you want to be involved with Area Code Batavia?
I mean, I think like I want to be involved in everything. Like in a nosy way. I think it has, a lot of overlap with what Sturdy Shelter does, what Main Street does.
You're on the board at Main Street.
I'm also on the executive board of Main Street. But I think there's this like symbiotic sort of like the storytelling and connecting. I'm drawn to it. And I think I've said this, but it's like doing these kinds of things has given me a purpose that like I lived in the city for like 10 years and I never really felt like I knew my neighbors. I didn't feel like I knew anyone or what was going on. Yeah. It was just felt so big.
Yeah.
It was like impossible.
Yeah. And here you can step out of your house and like talk to all 5 people that are around you. Yeah.
And it's really nice.
Yes.
And then you're more invested in like everything that happens around you.
Yeah. Well, Alexa, thanks for joining the show. I'm excited to continue doing this every other week. But we're also trying another new thing. We're calling this Neighborhood Watch. You and I are going to bring one thing that we just want to talk about that's happening in Batavia because we're both kind of in the know. I run a podcast about Batavia and you're a bartender, which makes you extremely aware of the community.
We hear everything.
Yeah, exactly.
We know it all.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm excited to continue doing this every other week.
I can't wait to talk about the smokestack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we should talk about this.
Are you in favor of it being removed?
Okay, so what we're talking about is Old Pal Joey's chimney.
Old Pal Joey.
That's just a phrase I like saying.
Yeah.
Old Pal Joey's smokestack is maybe a little better, actually.
Sure.
I don't want it to be removed. No one does, right? It's just sad. But
I'm pretty sure they voted to have it removed, though.
I know that like it's a necessary evil. Like,
I think it could have.
We don't want it to kill anyone.
It could have been restored. It just would have been like
$1 billion.
Expensive, yeah.
We wouldn't get our automatic bathrooms across the street.
Self-cleaning toilets.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that ribbon cutting.
I'm going to go there and watch.
Is there going to be a ribbon cutting?
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. You should report live from there.
The robot can cut the ribbon? Mm-hmm. I'm going to go and mess those toilets up so bad and see how it does.
You're like, okay.
You're going to put it through the
test.
test.
The limits. Oh, well, I did hear, and this is a good safety feature that, like, in addition to, like, being self-cleaning, like, if the door is, like, closed for too long or, like, someone's in there too long, it, like, will alert the police. And I was like, how long is too long?
Exactly. That was my first question.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm going to need an exact time frame.
Me too.
For that.
Because I'm like,
I'm assuming they mean like an hour. Like you're not supposed to sleep in there. All right. What's going on in your world in Batavia right now?
I'm just excited about the cat cafe that's moving in downtown.
You're excited about it?
Next to the veterinary office.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does. It's great branding.
Yeah.
I don't like cats though, so
right.
And I'll probably never go there.
That's why I asked if you're really excited.
It does feel like so niche, you know.
Really niche to the point where I now understand how sober people feel when you ask them to go to Sturdy Shelter.
Yeah, when you're like, meet me at a bar.
I literally cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot go to the cat cafe.
Are you allergic?
I'm allergic to cats.
Okay.
Yes, most of my family, I think my entire family is allergic to cats, and so it's just a disaster for everyone. To do that. But I'm supportive of this weird niche thing.
Yeah, I am supportive, but I just did a walk around downtown with Illinois Main Street. We were like looking at vacant buildings and kind of talking about like what the town is missing. And unequivocally, everyone was like, oh, we need like a cafe that's open later than Limestone. It's not a bar.
And it needs to be a cat one.
Right. And they were like, and just like a place you can hang out. And when I saw a cafe, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it's a cat cafe.
Yeah.
So, again, it feels like a very Batavia thing to do, like,
yes,
is make it like slightly not quite right.
Yes.
You know?
You asked for this, and so we're gonna give you a weird version of it.
Yeah, a Temu version.
I honestly love it. Like, it's great. And I think if you love cats, then you're gonna love this.
I think it's gonna draw people for sure.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous about whether it will work, but I like that we're trying it.
And I think right next to the vet, I mean,
smart.
Unbelievable.
You can just take your cat right over there.
That's what I'm saying.
Are you allowed to bring your own cat?
That's what I don't know.
Because my understanding of cat cafes is it's a place you hang out when you want to be around cats.
Right. You don't bring your own. It's not BYO.
Yeah, BYOC.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I got to read more up on it.
Well, some of our listeners will be excited. And so check it out. Let us know what you think of the cat cafe. One thing that I wanted to talk about. So there is this new demographic data that has come out. And I heard about this from Sam Kraft's Tri-Cities Central. I put a link in the show notes to this particular article, which he wrote up. But there was a big sort of, what's the word for this? There was a big report put out by a regional planning agency that talks about sort of how our community has changed over the years. It specifically looks at the Tri-Cities, but it also looks at Batavia, of course. One of the things I didn't know is that Batavia is growing faster than the other two towns. St. Charles is down 0.4% in terms of growth. Geneva is down 1.1%. But Batavia has added 4.2%. So there's no growth in Geneva and St. Charles, actually. And Batavia is growing, which I found fascinating.
I know that, like, in Geneva schools, enrollment is down.
Okay. And I'm hearing the opposite about BPS.
Right. And people are, like, I think they call it aging in place. So instead of moving on to, we retired and we downsized or we're going to Florida or something, it's like people are staying in Geneva.
Yeah.
Young families aren't moving in.
Yeah.
And then the school enrollment is less and less. That could contribute to it.
Yeah. The other thing that is sort of tied to this is the diversity piece. White non-Hispanic share of the population has dropped from 90% or above in all three communities to 81.8% in Batavia, which might account for some of that growth. It feels like we are seeing a bit of a change. We see it in the businesses that are coming in between Gifts and Amore and Cinco de Mayo and things like that. There's a lot more information in the link, which will be in the show notes. Okay. Do you know who Dustin Pieper is?
He's an iconic alderman of Ward 4.
Most people know him as that guy who walks around with a leather jacket, I feel like.
And he rides a bike.
And he rides a bike everywhere. I talked to Dustin a couple weeks ago. Real ones will remember that he was in a previous episode about Ward 4. I saw Dustin present at the Lyceum about what makes a strong town. And it's built around this rubric, which we'll talk about. He went through a list of questions and sort of said, where does Batavia rank on these questions? And that will help us determine whether Batavia is a small town. And while we were doing it, I said, we have to do that on the podcast. So that's what we're doing. I'm sitting down with Dustin to talk through those questions. Do you think, Alexa, that Batavia is a small town?
Strong town.
If you had to guess.
I don't.
Okay. Tell me why.
I haven't looked at the rubric,
yeah.
but I know like some of Dustin's like real sticking points about things, strong towns, like great transportation, sidewalks, infrastructure that supports pedestrians. Yeah.
You're on the right track.
Yeah, and I think we are lacking in some of that.
Do you think that Dustin will... He is a public figure. Mm-hmm. He is in politics, essentially.
Is he the youngest alderman as well?
I think he is, yeah. That feels right. Mm-hmm. Do you think he will be upfront and transparent about that? I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but I'm saying if that were true, that Batavia isn't a strong town because of some of those things, do you think like he is able to say that outright?
I'd say yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he minces words.
I'm excited for you to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for people to hear it. It was a really interesting conversation. And I think I like where we landed. So
yeah, he's very like singularly himself too.
Yes.
Right? Like
which I'm impressed by. I was not that cool when I was young.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's my conversation with Dustin Pieper. You were on the podcast very recently.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, I was thinking about a talk I saw you gave at the Lyceum, which is this thing that meets, this is basically like smart people lecturing every month, I think, at sidecar supper clubs.
Second Monday of the month, I think.
Okay.
Which I remember because it's the same time as the Batavia Active Transportation Advisory Commission meeting, so I can never go.
Really good stuff there.
Yeah.
You did go this time because you spoke there.
Yeah, I felt obligated.
You talked about strong towns, and you talked about a lot of things, but one of the exercises that you did was you sort of led the crowd through a list of things that makes a town a strong town.
Yeah.
And so what I'd like to do, and we talked about like, how does Batavia live up to these categories?
Right.
And I thought, I want to do this on the air.
Yeah.
Partially because I just think it would be interesting, but also because I was like, I don't know if I'm agreeing with you and the crowd in certain one of these in terms of how we rated it. So I thought it would be fun to just like nuance it and argue over it a little bit.
You're going to use your media platform to set the record straight.
Exactly.
I like it.
And as much conflict as possible is just good tape. So let's do that. But before we get into it, so that's what people can look forward to. Before we get into that, talk about like what Strong Towns is and why you care about it so much.
Right. So I think it's best to kind of describe how it started. So this all started like about 20 years ago, mid-2000s, like, 2000, 2010, like 2005, 6 or 7, around there. There was a civil engineer up in like rural Minnesota, like Brainerd, Minnesota. He was doing like most civil engineers. He was like working on all these big infrastructure projects for towns. Like, we're going to give you this big like wastewater treatment plant, and you're going to be set for life, and you're going to bring in all this development because it's a nice thing to have there. We're going to put like this bypass through town. You're going to get all this traffic. It's going to create all this business, and everybody's really excited about that.
Yeah.
And he was doing this more and more, and he was realizing as time went on that it wasn't bringing about the outcomes he thought it would. Like, the town would end up like actually having trouble paying for things over time because they have this big infrastructure, but they don't really have the population to sustain it. And that was like kind of a wake-up call of like, but wait, I've always been told that we build these big infrastructure projects, we bring all this economic vitality to town, it's great, it's wonderful. It doesn't pay for itself.
Yeah.
And that kind of led this guy town to sort of like,
that is the story of like small towns.
Yeah.
I mean, in the recent past, like I have seen that so many times. I've at least seen the outcome of that so many times.
They want the big project, and they want to save the town. They're going to make it a huge thing. It never pays off.
Right.
So this engineer, his name's Chuck Marone. You can look him up. He was like, he kind of had this midlife crisis almost. Of like, what am I actually accomplishing here? What am I doing? And he started looking into like, okay, so if this way we've been doing things for like the last 50 years in America, what he eventually termed the suburban development pattern, right? That doesn't seem to be working. Even though everybody assumes it does, everybody thinks this is prosperity, what's going on here and what does work?
Yeah.
And he eventually realized that what actually works and is like sustainable long term, not just like ecologically or like socially, but like financially, just base, brass tacks money wise, was actually the more traditional walkable urbanism development pattern that cities have been using forever.
The one that feels better anyway.
It feels better. It feels more natural to the human experience. It's the way we've been building cities for like thousands of years.
Yeah.
Just naturally.
Yes.
Before we, invented the automobile and like thought in the mid-century of the 1900s that, hey, maybe we can completely change how we think about cities.
Yeah. This episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by 212 Degrees Construction Group. Maybe you live in an older home here in Batavia, one of those houses with good bones and great local history. But you also know the reality of living with shortcuts taken by previous owners. There's that feeling you have of they did the upgrade, but they definitely cut corners. Of course, we'd like to make some upgrades of our own in our house. We have this vision of turning our back porch into a sunroom, a place where I can sit at my desk surrounded by trees and the sounds of nature and actually get some kind of work done in the sunlight. But we've hesitated. We're not big fans of those high-pressure contractors who want you to sign right now for a today-only discount. And it always leaves us wondering, are these people actually invested in my home, or do they just want to check? That's why I'm glad that 212 Degrees Construction is right here in town. They're a Batavia-based business, and most importantly, they're not interested in patchwork solutions. Their primary concern is a job well done. When you talk to the people at 212 Degrees Construction Group, there's no pressure, and they handle the permits and the headaches so that you don't have to. They're the people you call when you're tired of thinking about doing something someday, and you're ready to get things done right. If you're ready to turn your dream home upgrade into a reality, or just fix that one room that's been driving you crazy, go to 212dcg.com or click the link in the show notes.
The whole thing kind of spurred off this desire for reform of how we do urban planning in America.
Okay.
And this versus, a lot of other places don't do it this way. And sort of look at the impacts of that and what actually works. And it's kind of touched off this sort of somewhat niche but strong social movement right now of urbanism. Like you look up YouTube on urbanism, there's a whole ecosystem.
Can you define that really quick?
Urbanism, it's basically, so you hear urbanism and you think like downtown Chicago, and that's not quite right.
Right.
It's more the idea of building cities more as communities than as commodities.
Okay.
So like the difference, and we're going to get into this with this strength test here that might clear up the picture of what that means, but it's more like building cities that have like a tight, urban fabric to it, people being able to talk to each other easily, people have common interactions with each other. You can walk around and get to the things you need in life.
Can I ask a question? Is there something called ruralism or suburbanism that it is in conflict with or contrast with?
There can be. So like classical ruralism, where you have like large tracts of land out there, or maybe even like pastoral villages, that is one thing, and that's very much its own sort of form of development pattern.
Right.
I would argue modern America has lost that as well.
Okay.
I grew up in rural America. I have a lot of experience living in rural America, and modern rural America is very isolating compared to what it used to be. I always hear my grandparents' days, like they would go to the neighbor's house to have like Christmas dinner. Like they would have a different house they went to every day. People were close together.
I'm thinking of Little Women.
Little Women, yeah.
Or something, yeah.
You had that kind of community, but that doesn't really exist in rural America anymore.
Interesting.
In the 70s, like the big agri-farms took over kind of. Yeah. The big farms was kind of the model that was put into place. That was actually even spurred by the federal government. One of my personal villains in history is Nixon's Secretary of Agriculture. He was like, we're gonna get rid of all these like inefficient family farms. We need the big farms. And that killed rural America for me, I think.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Of ruralism can be very much a thing.
Yeah.
You're sort of 3 acres in a farm model.
What's suburbanism? Is that something?
Suburbanism is largely a modern phenomenon.
Okay.
It was kind of invented in like the 30s, 40s, and 50s by, honestly, the federal government in some ways as a new model of home ownership, as a new model of taking advantage of modern technologies to sort of reinvent how we live, to provide large-scale housing for the populace. It all sounded really great at the time, and especially coming out of the Depression, people were really excited to like sort of help spur this model. And you see it in like the 30-year mortgage, right? That sort of undergirds housing ownership today. That is made by the federal government. That doesn't exist naturally in the economy because like the risk profile for that for a bank operating on its own is way too high.
Okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
that's a long-term asset for them to be holding on to. That's kind of scary for a bank. It is backed by the federal government. It was invented by the federal government, and there are a lot of rules put in place by the federal government on how these mortgages could work. You may have heard of redlining, for instance.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Which is where the federal government said, these neighborhoods, don't put mortgages out to them because we don't want to take on that risk. And that often, those neighborhoods were often like, minority neighborhoods or impoverished neighborhoods that really locked them out of the financial system and did a lot of harm. That's a whole topic for another day.
Yeah.
But it's kind of one example of like how this very top-down look at changing how cities developed had a very negative impact on a lot of people.
Can I say a quick simplified summary of each one of those things, and you tell me if this is right?
Yeah.
It seems like ruralism is like space is king.
Yeah.
That's the most important. You want a bunch of space that you own and that is yours.
Yeah.
And then suburbanism is like homes are king. Owning homes.
I would say the car is king.
Oh, interesting.
It's about access to amenities by vehicle and really exclusion is king a little bit. I hate to say it.
Okay.
I don't like to frame stuff like that because I think people get very defensive when you say it like that.
Well, and it's oversimplified for sure.
It is very oversimplified.
Yeah.
When I say exclusion, I mean people have a habit of wanting to feel safe and kind of turtling down, I
Yeah.
think that's somewhat human.
Yeah.
It's an unhealthy mentality in my mind because it's easy to just sort of avoid people after a while, especially in modern America. And you need people. Hate to say it, you need to get out there and do stuff. All of us, especially the modern generations, struggle with that so much because it's easy to avoid people.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the path of least resistance. It kind of becomes the default response. The easiest thing usually becomes the default response in any circumstance.
It feels like rather if you were trying to frame it a positive way, if you're trying to be fair to suburbanism.
I'm trying to do that. I don't want to yell at people. That's not my thing.
You could maybe say curation. You're curating the neighborhood. You're curating what it looks like. You want to keep the thing that I hear in Batavia a lot is we want to keep what makes Batavia.
I'm glad you said that because I'm going to riff on that in a minute.
Good.
It's in a good way. I'm gonna spin it in an interesting way, but there is a lot of that.
I feel like when that is the number one thing,
curation,
that can get away from you and become exclusion.
That's kind of what I mean by commodification.
Okay.
You want to treat it like a product. You're getting a certain product, and that is what you're trying to. You're being sold a product. Mm-hmm. Look how modern suburbs are sold. It's very corporate sounding.
Interesting.
A lot of ways.
Yes.
So I would say that is a good way of looking at suburbanism. Going back to ruralism, I would prefer to use the word stewardship.
Okay.
You are a steward of a land. You're taking care of a large bit of land.
That's good.
For some important natural purpose that can't be done in a city. My parents, big conservationists, very involved with Ducks Unlimited, if you know them. It's a bunch of duck hunters, but wanting to take care of wetlands so they can be duck hunters, you know?
Yeah.
So they're very environmentalist. So my parents had a very stewardship mentality of the land.
Yeah.
And that can be a very wonderful thing. But urbanism, the third category, I would say the key of that is community.
This is strong towns. This
is where we're getting the strong towns. It's community. It's banding together to create a good society. And it should be noted, again, if you hear urbanism and think Chicago, Chicago's not necessarily good at that either.
Yeah.
Big cities aren't necessarily good at that because sometimes they're following more of the suburban model in a way that really doesn't work for them because there's just too many people around. Suburbanism breaks down really easily. Ruralism can work okay if you are very cognizant of what infrastructure you're putting in. If you got gravel roads, if you got septic and all that stuff, ruralism can work fantastically because the amount of infrastructure you're investing corresponds to sort of the economy out there. And that's what I grew up with. It's a very nice way to live. Suburbanism, though, you have a very high infrastructure need to be able to handle even the relatively low densities you have due to how it's built out, because you need to drive everywhere, so you need these big roads. But the big roads really don't work that well for the amount of people you have there. You're not allowing enough density such that you have other options, like transit or just walking and biking.
Right.
You don't have things nearby that you don't have a corner store.
Yeah.
And we've made that illegal in a lot of places. It's this very artificial, sort of top-down enforced thing that we've just all so used to now, we don't even know to think about it. We don't know to see it.
Okay, yeah.
That's suburbanism. And urbanism, classical urbanism especially, is less of a directly curated thing. It's a little more chaotic.
Okay.
Which can be stressful for people. I get that. But it's chaotic in the sense of you're letting things kind of grow naturally. Taking care of an urban space is a lot more like taking care of a garden. You know, you're not directly like telling the plant, grow this leaf here, grow this leaf here.
Yeah.
Your leaf is outside of the setback limit. Hold up, whoa, buddy. You know, it's more about like pruning and taking care of and managing, but letting things kind of also grow along their own. And you can get a very resilient place like that. Compare that to like monoculture crops, which are a lot less resilient.
Yeah.
Which you need a lot of control over to keep surviving, which is much more closer to the suburban model. A vague overview of what I mean by urbanism is community. And I think when people talk about keeping Batavia the way it is, often they're in the framework of we don't want it to develop too much and become Chicago or even worse, Naperville or whatever. I like Naperville, they're fine. A bit bougie maybe, but fine. They don't want us becoming like this very developed thing. But to me, Batavia isn't just a standard suburb. I'm more worried about Batavia becoming like a Schaumburg than I am worried about becoming like a Naperville.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
We're going to go through this list and kind of have this conversation. Folks listening at home can also like feel free to chime in. I won't hear you.
Yeah.
You can say what you want.
They'll have your email. Your email's on the city website.
Yeah, I'm a weirdly public individual for who I am. I don't have social media, but my email's out there. So we're going to go through this list. There's 10 questions here, and think about how we're going through these. Question 1 of whether Batavia is a strong town.
Yeah.
Take a photo of our main street at midday, which I guess for us would be Wilson Street.
Okay.
Does the picture show more people than cars?
So I'm looking over there right now. So we're sitting in the back of Sturdy Shelter, overlooking the river. And I'm looking at the bridge, and I see 2 people and a lot of cars.
There's a lot of cars.
No, wait, 4 people. 5, 6, 7 people.
We're getting better.
It's not bad, actually.
Not bad.
The ratio's not bad, but the answer is no.
The answer could be a lot more no.
Yep.
So I've grown up and I've lived in far more car-dependent places where you don't see anybody. Like if you're walking around, people are going to report you for a wellness check. They're worried about you.
Yeah.
That's not true in Batavia.
Yes.
Like
is there a scoring system with this?
Not really. I give half
Is this
points.
binary? It's one or no, one yes or no?
This is all very. This is just to get a point across, really.
Okay, but
Maybe.
It's like 1 or 0 is kind of what it is.
It can be.
Well,
I'm okay with half points.
Let me ask this: we don't necessarily have to include this, but when you did it over there, didn't you have a scoring system?
I had a scorekeeper, but I gave half points.
But then you said if it gets over this amount, it's a strong town. Didn't you say that?
I don't remember. There's no like goal list here. There's no point list. It's just it's a rubric.
So these are gauges to see how we're doing in different areas.
Supposed to make you think.
How many are there?
10 questions.
So let's say if you get 7 out of 10 right,
okay,
you're a strong town.
We'll make it a game. Yeah.
According to Richard Clark.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what matters.
So we'll get 0.5 for that.
0.5.
This is where
worse.
I would be fighting because I'm like, this is a yes or no question and we got no.
That's not fair though.
Okay.
It could be a lot more no. You saw people at all.
And it does depend, right? Like if it's a Bat Fest or something.
Oh yeah, Bat Fest is crazy.
Yeah,
I
you're
love
going to
Bat
see a
Fest.
lot, but that's cheating a little bit.
Yeah. I have in my picture here in the presentation a parade, the one parade I think we've ever done. Probably not fair comparison.
Yeah, right.
But
Farmers Market.
Yeah,
you would see a lot of people.
Farmers Market, there's a lot of people,
especially on River Street.
On River
you
Street,
would see more people than cars.
Yeah, it's a little cheating.
Yeah.
But
what's the reasoning behind that question?
So people in your downtown, the framing of it can be this: cars don't shop.
Yeah. People
shop.
Yes.
You want to feel like people can meander through your downtown, look in a storefront, and maybe get an idea. Like, oh, hey, I didn't know about that. I'm gonna peek in. You're gonna get those little interactions.
Yeah.
You want to have people walking around because that's how you have chance encounters. That's how you have community, and that's how you can often support small business. Compare that to, say, your like big box store model. You drive there, you don't look at anyone. You get in, you get out.
Right.
Like that is a stop shop destination. It's a very isolating experience in a lot of ways. I mean, I just say hi to random people because I'm weird. It's very much a get in, get out. You don't get to exist as a human. You exist as a consumer. So that leads to a very isolating sort of community. It's not great.
Yeah.
So you want people. People are an indicator species of success in a downtown area.
I like that. That's good. Okay, what is number 2?
Number 2. This one's a bit spicy. This is a fun one. If there were a revolution in your town,
I love this.
Would people instinctively know where to gather to participate? Like The Simpsons, where's the mob forming? Every episode of The Simpsons has a mob scene.
Yeah. So the question doesn't care what kind of place it is. It doesn't care if it's like a municipal place or like a business. That doesn't matter?
If you're just thinking, I know exactly where I would go, and it's not Walmart, you're in a good place. You can have multiple answers, too.
It could be Walmart, though.
It could be Walmart.
Yeah. No.
Because, okay, what would you, before I answer the reasoning, what would you say?
I think I would say peg bond. Either that or sturdy shelter. But I think sturdy shelter is a little too limiting. It's like a specific type of person who shows up there.
Yeah.
I think peg bond or maybe River Street.
I always joke that sturdy shelter is kind of the political heart of the town.
Okay.
Because I think like most of council comes here a lot.
So if you want to influence people,
if you want to influence people, just hang around sturdy shelter. Like these bartenders here, I think technically run the town. Nobody knows. They don't even know. But yeah, you have a good answer. You have like a clear answer of like, I'd probably go there.
Maybe
River
yes.
Street. Yeah.
So that's a point. Why is that important?
Why is that important? It's important because it indicates that your downtown, your town in overall, has a nucleus.
Okay.
It has a natural center of community.
Yeah.
Where you don't even have to think about it. You're just like, I'll go there.
Okay.
That's the natural place I would go. We're not trying to start a revolution here. That would be a bit messy. Revolutions have a nasty way of coming back around on you. I stole that from Terry Pratchett. It's a way to like get you to think about what's the natural locus of your community, where you just know like if you're bored one day, you're going to wander over there and find something to do.
I'm wondering if that's true about peg bond, now that you've elaborated.
It can be. There's always like something going on.
It feels more like River Street to me now. If I'm thinking, I want to do something, where's something to do? Well, you could say it used to be River Street. Right now it's less so. But
I know, that's another topic.
I mean, it's related, though.
It's related.
It's an important part of that is like what creates those spaces. I mean, peg bond is an example of a place that was created to be that.
Yeah.
And that actually...
Very intentional.
Something that I sort of touch on the previous episode that you are in is structures matter.
Yeah.
Structures and the things that lawmakers do create conditions that create strong towns.
Yeah.
And I think that is an example of that, maybe.
It really shapes our lives in very subtle ways. It's kind of the point I made earlier that the easiest thing ends up being the default thing, the thing we just do without thinking.
Yeah.
And if the easy thing is just wandering downtown and hanging out, that's how you get community.
Yes.
If the easiest thing is just
and if we can say
home,
downtown as the answer to that question, well, we win.
Yeah, the question is, do you have a downtown or not, really?
Yeah.
Ultimately it. A lot of places don't. Like North Aurora, they're kind of struggling to try to have a downtown.
Okay.
I wish the best for them, but Harner's Bakery is really nice. They got a library. They got a good library, but they don't really have like a natural downtown.
Right.
It's just the oldest part of town.
Yes.
So
yes. Okay,
giving
cool.
shade to North Aurora.
So we're at 1.5 right now.
Yeah, we're getting there.
What's next?
Number 3. Imagine your favorite street in town didn't exist.
Okay.
Could it be built today if the construction had to follow your local rules? This is a hard question because it's very technical, actually.
Okay, yes. Yes, it is.
So I guess the thing to focus on is you look in downtown, a lot of the 2-over-1 buildings. You have your shop on the bottom. You have 1 or 2 stories of apartments or offices. Those very old classical limestone buildings.
Yeah.
Could we build that today? The answer is kind of ?
Okay.
So our downtown zoning area is very technical. It's kind of miserable to talk about. Our downtown area actually has a fairly open-ended zoning district associated with it.
Okay.
There's not a lot of rules, I think. I'm pretty sure. Because I've tried to read through this. It's a bit impenetrable for me as somebody who enjoys this stuff for fun.
Yeah.
It's still what can I do there? I don't know. Maybe. It's not a good sign when you can't just easily understand that. That's another topic on itself. I could be here for hours if you wanted me to. Gonna die of thirst. In our downtown area, there are other obstacles in place, though, beyond Batavia that we can't really influence.
Okay.
The construction industry, what its expectations are for a project. The finance industry for developing real estate.
Yeah.
Finance, like banks, really like to have what are called productized loans, where it's a loan for a type of building that it understands, like a single-family home, or your big apartment building, your big 5-6-story apartment building. The banks understand that. They can bundle that into a loan that has a very defined definition to it, and then they can sell that loan to a third party, and it's really easy for them.
Yeah.
But a weird project, sort of like our older buildings that nobody builds anymore,
right?
They don't know what to do with that. They don't know how to define that for a market. So they get stuck with the loan. They're like, I don't want to deal with this loan anymore because now I'm responsible for it.
It's feeling like the answer to this is no.
The answer is a no-ish. I think we're trying. We're trying to get that direction. We could be better.
Yeah. Does any town pass this?
Does any town pass this? Not these days.
Because there are macro factors involved.
There's a lot of macro factors involved. Some towns are trying harder than others. They're being very proactive in their zoning code to make this more common. And there's things they can do to help the financing along. But it's kind of a shame that they have to.
Is our town doing everything it can do?
I would say no.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's somewhat of an open statement just because it is very technical. It's hard to lock down. There are things I would like to see with what's called incremental development to make it easier for these smaller projects to happen that I admit like a lot of times we're reticent to do as a city because that often requires a lot more hands-on collaboration. It's a lot of work. Like our city staff does a lot of stuff for how many people there are there. I always try to be very cognizant of city staff and the things we put on them because there are things I'd like to change about the city.
No judgment.
And
it's
work
just
with them.
it's
just a lot.
It's just the reality. So
you need a very hands-on approach to bring this back.
I'm going to put a 0 because that's what I'm feeling based on.
That's what you're feeling. It's your show.
Based on how this is going. But if we lose by 0.5, we'll just remember that
we can bump
could
it up
go
a little.
up to it. Yeah.
We can bump it up a little. I like to think we're doing some things. I think we could be doing more personally.
Yeah.
That's a political statement, kind of, in all honesty. There's no easy answer to it, and I can't say that with 100% certainty because I would honestly probably need to spend 10 years just as a small-scale developer to fully understand the ins and outs of the system.
100%. Yeah, there's a lot. Okay, so let's move on to something maybe we do understand. What's the fourth one?
Number 4. Is an owner of a single-family home able to get permission to add a small rental unit onto their property without any real hassle?
Feels like no, right? I don't want to be mean,
it's
but
no-ish. We do allow in Batavia what's called an accessory dwelling unit, an ADU. Sometimes these are known as granny flats. This is a little house in your backyard that somebody could theoretically live in as a house.
What's the point of this question? Why is it there?
What's the point of this? It's about housing flexibility.
Okay.
Can you build small-scale, incremental housing in your town? Can you give people the flexibility to do that?
To stay there, essentially.
Just have a home there.
That's what it incentivizes is people staying in town, right?
Yeah, a little bit. It's to provide options.
Okay.
It's actually staying in town is another question we'll get to in a second.
Okay, yeah.
It's to provide options to people. A good example of this is, let's say you're an older couple, your kids have moved out, you have this big house that you don't know what to do with. Could you convert your house to a duplex?
Yes.
So that you can rent out the extra house you really don't need anymore and make some income to help pay for your home.
Which makes the town in general more adaptable and less static.
It's all about adaptability.
Okay, good.
And that also provides affordable options for people who, want to live here to start a career, start a life, start a family.
Yep.
Get that first rung on the ladder, as it were, and really, make do with what you can. I work at Fermilab, right? And there's a lot of young professionals there that want to live in our town. They can't. They can't afford it. They're well-paid people. There just aren't options. We won't have any apartments. We don't have any options. And they're just they're not able to live near where they work. They have to go further afield. I have a friend of mine who's driving an hour and a half each way every day because he can't find housing around here.
Crazy.
It's terrible. It's not adaptable.
That is terrible.
And it leads to a lot of problems. Leads to pollution. It's really expensive for him to drive all that way.
Yep.
And it's a lot of time. It's a lot of stress.
And if you're at Fermilab, you're not
traffic.
coming into downtown to eat lunch usually.
Yeah, if you're at Fermilab. That's one thing I dislike about Fermilab. They're so isolated from the rest of the town. That kind of gets annoying for me.
Yes.
Especially because I bike in, so I really feel that last mile.
I'll bet. No kidding. Okay, so that's a 0?
It's not a full 0. I'd give it a 0.25.
Oh,
because
brother.
we do.
You can't go below 0.5. I'm going 0.
Okay.
I'm going 0.
We have allowance in place, and we do have these type of units in town. There's actually some around where I'm at.
But if I wanted to do it,
it could be hard.
Would it be annoying?
I think it would be annoying.
Okay, that's a 0. Then. That's literally what the question's asking.
That's fair.
What's the next?
Depends where you are in town, but yeah.
That's super helpful. What's the next question?
Okay, speaking of Fermilab.
Yep.
Number 5, if your largest employer left town, are you confident the city would survive?
Ooh, okay, that's a great one.
It's a strong one. I would say strong yes.
I think so too.
We've
got Fermilab, but we've got Aldi.
Yeah.
We've got I don't know. It feels like a bunch of stuff.
We got a bunch of stuff. The key of this is we're not dependent on any one business.
Yes.
Like you think about like your steel towns, right? Your like factory towns where there's this big manufacturer that employs half the town, like the old Studebaker towns or whatever, or you're like, or like even like Gary, Indiana, like the famous one. If that one employer left town, you're dead. You're dead in the water.
Yeah.
And that is a messy situation. It's about being dependent on any one entity for the functioning of your town, because that makes you very fragile.
Right.
You don't want that. Nobody wants that.
Right.
We have a fairly diverse economy in Batavia. We do have a few like key employers. Actually, Suncast is another big one, actually. I think that's number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
The schools is a big one. That one doesn't count because they're going to be there regardless.
Okay.
But the schools aren't going to move out of town. That's going to be a long bus ride.
But they're not going to keep us afloat. Like
they're not going to keep us afloat.
It would take like at least 3 things closing, like big
things
companies closing
to like really start to hurt.
Yeah. And that would be a bigger problem anyway.
Yeah,
that would reflect something bigger than Batavia is going down.
At that point, we need to like start issuing our own currency or something, because like things have started falling apart.
Right,
Like we need to like
because they're varied industries too. Like we've got a government-funded science thing. We've got a grocery retailer, and then we've got like a bunch of industrial things. They make flags over here or somewhere. Like
We've got a good industrial base in Batavia, which I'm very proud of.
That's pretty good.
I would like to see more variety of small businesses, but we have a lot.
Yeah.
We actually do have a lot.
Yeah.
In other towns I've lived, like the big event was when a new chain moved into town.
Yes.
Number 6, is it safe for children to walk or bike to school and other activities without adult supervision?
That's a strong yes to me.
That's a strong yes.
Just go slow on those scooters.
That's the whole thing right now. If you're listening at home, like be careful what you buy your kids.
Yes.
Those electric dirt bikes that go like 40 miles an hour, don't do that.
I had some kids just go a string of kids go zooming past me at Limestone.
Yeah.
And I was so mad. I've never been madder at kids than I was in that moment.
We're getting old, Richard.
I know.
We're getting old.
I know.
But no, no, it's fair though. Like I'm an e-bike rider, and I get really annoyed that e-bikes get lumped into that because they are very different vehicles. Same thing with e-scooters.
Yeah.
Like we have very interesting laws right now with e-scooters in Illinois, where like kids aren't allowed on the 10-mile-per-hour ones, but then the faster ones aren't regulated, and it's just like that's getting fixed right now. They're working through that, but it's like we should flip-flop that. The 10 mile per hour are fine. They're fine. It's okay.
Right.
That's getting worked through. This is a very new industry, and the law is trying to catch up to it. We've been recently trying to do that here in Batavia. We have an e-mobility ordinance that I was worried about first because, again, I don't want to tamp down on e-bikes. I think they're actually a very good thing because they make it easy for folks to bike around, especially older folks.
Yeah.
I talk to the e-bike shops here. Most of their customers are older folks who find it a useful way to be mobile, be out and about, without like feeling limited, just by getting older.
Yes, I love that.
I want to be very careful about the e-bikes tamping down on too much while still making sure people feel safe. And this new e-mobility legislation we passed, like the police department did a good job like creating that to be good for all people. So we're trying to address it, but yeah.
So number 6 is a strong yes. Tell me why that matters.
Why does it matter? There's a few ways to look at it. One thing I love about Batavia is we have all the elementary schools scattered throughout town instead of one central thing. Having the ability to have a bit of like your own life as a child is very healthy.
Yeah.
You're able to have a little responsibility early on, and that helps breed confidence. It helps breed further responsibility down the line. It helps socialize kids a lot more, where it's like, it's too easy to grow up playing video games, like staying inside, getting warped by the internet or whatever.
Yeah.
This makes it to where kids in town can have their own lives without just having to be carted around everywhere.
Yeah.
And that creates stronger citizens. That creates a healthier community. The other half of it, a way to think about it is if kids who, they're children, they can be a bit reckless, they don't know any better, they're young. If they can be safe in your community without significant supervision, you have an incredibly safe community.
Yeah, that's like
from crime, from like traffic
That's
fatalities.
a really high bar.
It's a high bar to meet, but it's what you should shoot for because, these are citizens in our town. They're kids.
Yeah.
Like, they're under their parents, of course, but it's, if you can make a town that they can safely and comfortably be a part of, you have an incredible community.
Right. Okay, that's Batavia.
Yeah, awesome. I think so. That's one of the most beautiful things about our town.
I love it. What's 7?
Number 7. Are there neighborhoods where 3 generations of a family could reasonably find a place to live all within walking distance of each other? That's an interesting one.
that assumes they have to be like on the market. The houses need to be on the market.
There's that side of it. Let's
Is that
pull
what that
back from the
means?
current market conditions of
Okay.
it. It's more about the housing types.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Then yes, absolutely.
I would think so, absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
Like, it's like an everybody loves Raymond situation. So, like, you have your starter homes in town and a lot of your older homes. You have a larger home for a family that you can have, like, a bunch of kids and everything's good.
Yeah.
And you have homes that are good for older folks, who need to downsize a bit. And we also have, like, a lot of, like, senior living communities here.
Yeah.
A lot of options for older folks in
Yes.
town. And it's a very dignified way of life.
And they have to be living how far from each other according to the question?
Walk. Like 15, 20-minute walk.
Okay.
Theoretically.
Okay.
You don't have to dig too deep into it. The point is,
Yeah.
there's housing options here that any stage of life you can be here and not feel like you have to move out of town.
Yes.
It could be better. We do have an affordability crisis here, much like much of America.
Yeah.
But in terms of at least the housing stock, there are options there at least.
I agree,
So
yes.
I think we're doing pretty good on that
That's
one.
a hard one. Why does that matter?
Why does that matter? It matters because you have the ability to retain community over time.
Okay.
You don't feel like you have to move out. You have options here to live in any stage in life.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, you have those long-term sort of social commitments that just grow naturally over time.
Yeah.
I talk to people here. I feel weird. We both moved here,
Both
in
of
our
us,
lives.
yeah. We're both outsiders.
We're both a bit of outsiders, which I think Batavia has been very welcoming in a lot of ways.
100%.
I also talk to people here who just have these long histories.
Yeah.
They know everybody that went to the high school.
Yeah.
And, like, they're still involved with the community to this day and the next generation coming up.
Yep.
Like, there's a lot of community ties. And when you have options for people to stick around,
Yeah.
that only helps to build and strengthen those ties. So you have a strong net.
That's
of
really well
community.
said. And I have also met multiple people, I think, as we're talking, I'm thinking about multiple people I've met who live near their parents.
It's a great way to
It's an
live.
actual thing that just happens.
And then when you have kids, the parents are free babysitters. It's great.
Jennifer and I were just talking about that.
Yeah.
We were comparing our lives with the lives of people who have parents in town.
Yep.
And being mad. That's
Yep.
We're just bitter about it. But
It's a little annoying where it's just like,
it really improves the quality of life. Like,
Yeah.
and you can see how the butterfly effect or whatever, the cause and effect of, like, okay, we have parents who can watch our kids. We're going to go on a date. Well, we
Yeah.
don't get to do that because
Fair.
we're never going to go out to eat during the summer
Right,
together
right.
because our kids are at home. So, yeah, it's a whole thing. Unless we let them all run around in the streets because it's safe to do that.
it's safe to do that, yeah. It's easier to have a family, and I think everybody wants to have that be the case.
Yes.
Like families are just a wonderful thing of growing together with people. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Number 8. Oh, this one's an easy one. This one's an easy one. I'm really excited about this one. If you wanted to eat only locally produced food for a month, could you?
Yes.
Hard yes.
Yeah.
That's not even, that's so easy.
The farmer's market counts?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, then, we're good.
Yeah, you can eat only locally produced food if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
The real key of this question is basically, again, it kind of goes back to that economic vitality and resiliency thing.
Yeah.
Of, like, do you have, like, a local natural economy that's operating internally to your city, or are you just, like, shipping things from across the country and there's no like internal economy to your town? Like, if you only have chains, it's an external economy, so you're very dependent on the broader, like, national economy.
Yeah.
Where if you have, like, a healthy internal economy, you have money being passed around inside of your town.
Yep.
Such that it stays in town.
Yeah.
And you get local investment, and you keep, like, building that up, and it kind of snowballs.
Yeah.
It's good to keep money in your town rather than just rely on exports, because then you're producing local wealth, you're producing local investment, and you're producing, local prosperity for everyone around.
Right.
And hopefully with it, a lot of opportunity.
Yeah,
for
that's
people
good.
of all stages.
I'm making a change to the scoring system because I
Okay.
just had a brilliant idea.
All right.
It's a passing grade or not, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So do we have above 60?
Do we have
That's the question.
Yeah. Do Ds get degrees?
Every question is a 10-point question.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel okay giving 0.5s because they're just
0.5s, okay.
fives.
I'm very
Now we're
comfortable with
scoring it
fractions,
between
so-
1 and 10.
Yeah.
And we might have to go back to these zeros and maybe that first. What was that third? That third question was what?
Yeah, scroll back here. If our favorite street in town didn't exist, could it be built today if the construction had to follow your local rules?
I'm going to do like a 3 on that.
Yeah, okay. 3's fine.
And then the other one, number 4, what was that?
For a rental unit on your property easily. I give that 2.
2.
I'm feeling like a 2.
That's perfect.
I've never tried, so I can't like speak to it.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people who do have those only got it because they were grandfathered in.
All right. Where are we? So 9 now?
We're at number 9. We're
what is
almost
number
there.
9?
At the home stretch. This one's complicated. This one's technical.
Okay.
Before building or accepting new infrastructure, does the local government clearly identify how future generations will afford to maintain it?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, this is one I'm the only one who can answer really because I'm there every day. Maybe not to my satisfaction, but it is a thought process that is thought about.
Can you tell us why this matters?
Why this matters? Are we actually building things we can afford?
Yeah.
Or are we just digging our hole deeper? Yeah, are we passing the buck?
What's the word? Yeah, are we just like creating a problem for a future generation?
Yeah. And worse, are we like passing the buck to like, older parts of town that kind of are paying for themselves, but could use new investment?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question. Have we done this in the past? Have we created something that we shouldn't have because it wasn't thought of in that way?
I would say yes. I'll admit I'm not a big fan of Randall Road in a lot of ways, for instance.
Yeah.
That one's complicated because we, as a city, don't pay for Randall Road. The county does. So we kind of pass the buck in that way.
Okay.
I try not to think like that, of passing the buck of like, oh, that's the county's problem. Because like, where do they get their tax money?
Yeah.
It's from us.
Yes.
It's all one system.
Yeah.
Where does the federal government get its money? Us.
Yep.
I kind of hate grants, honestly, because it just feels like a long, expensive exercise in trying to claw back our own money.
Yeah.
It often makes us do really silly things because we have to meet like a specific criteria that doesn't really make sense for our situation.
Okay.
And just adds a lot of overhead and pain in the neck. And it's like, that's a whole... I could rant about grants for a while.
But you're saying Randall Road was essentially we said, someone else will deal with this.
Or it's not even...
Whether
it's
or
not
not
even
it was
that.
worth it to us.
It's not even that.
Yeah.
I think the assumption was Randall Road's going to bring us all this money.
Okay, yeah.
Like, oh, we're going to get all this money. And it's like,
yes.
Did it? Or did it just pull money out of downtown and put it somewhere else?
I think right now people would assume it gives us a lot of money, right? Is that not true?
That's true to some extent. I got an interesting statistic from city staff that I think they said like 70% of our sales tax revenue comes from people out of town, which seems really high.
Yeah.
I don't know how...
Is it? Compared to the average town? Is that good or bad, or like what is that?
Sales tax data is very opaque because you can't look at an individual business's sales tax because that tells you how much sales they had, which competitors can then use to like kind of, put the screws to them a bit. That's very like locked down by the government that I can't just go look at as easily as something like property tax data.
Yeah.
So I don't have a good number for that. I was surprised at 70%. Like, you can suss that out, but it, I can't just go look it up. Like somebody in a controlled circumstance has to look it up. I don't know if that's how common that is among towns because Batavia is interesting. We're on the edge of the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
So a lot of people out in the rural communities who don't have any stores are probably coming in to like shop at Randall Road. So maybe it does work out.
Okay.
I'm not going to make a strong statement here because I haven't sat down and done the math.
Yeah.
I don't like to just say, oh, friggin' Randall Road sucks. What a dumb idea. Because there's a case where it makes sense that maybe I'm missing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair for me to just bash it without having actually done the analysis, which I haven't done yet. I would like to see that analysis. I might push for it one of these days if I want to burn a lot of staff time and make them mad at me. I need to be very cognizant of that because they're doing so much again, like I said.
So as we make decisions now, are we doing this?
So I do this.
You do this.
I sit down and say, okay, how much
this
property
is where
tax
you have
are we
to
gonna get?
throw shade a little bit.
Maybe
so
a little bit.
You're feeling like you're doing it more than most, and that maybe
I
as
don't,
a general whole, like the governmental body should be doing it more.
Advocate for government bodies to do more stringent analyses in the long term. I don't want to say that staff aren't doing it because they do a lot of it.
Yeah.
They do provide projections of revenues over time. And I would say our city staff is very good at negotiating deals that keep the city from taking on much risk.
Oh, interesting.
Go back to the data center again. We're not giving them really anything. We are being very cautious with how we're operating with them. And I was actually very happy with that because, again, that makes me very nervous. We're not just throwing money around. We're sitting down and saying, okay, if we're going to give somebody money, they have to follow through. And if they don't pay us back in tax revenue over time, there's often clawback provisions.
Yep.
There's a lot of that. I think we do a very good job of that kind of thing. But what this question is really digging down into is more abstract than that. We have a new development. We're often taking on a lot of new infrastructure. And it can be deceiving because oftentimes the city isn't the one building the infrastructure at first. If there's a new subdivision on the edge of town, the developer is actually building all that infrastructure, and they're averaging the cost of that and lumping it into the cost of the houses.
Yep.
That's part of why the houses cost so much. And then they give us that infrastructure to maintain. But it's that long-term maintenance that kills us. Because it's like, for one, you have to keep up with it. You have to like patch the concrete or asphalt or whatever. You have to patrol it. You have this new area of land you have to send fire and water and electric and police and all that stuff out to. But worse, what really kills you is 40, 50 years from now, which really is such a long timeline that it's easy to just dismiss. You have to rebuild all that. And that's on you now. It's like being gifted a puppy almost, you know? Like you're just like taking on this long-term responsibility that's not really a problem at first.
Yeah.
You're just getting new tax revenue. It feels really good.
And are you feeling like these new developments we're seeing, like the one out near Dairy Queen and things like that, are examples of exactly what you're saying?
So I did a little bit of math on there, very rough math. The Ashton Ridge, I don't know what ridge they're talking about, but that's fine. Ashton Ridge over by the Dairy Queen, by HT Storm, that's an infill development, so we're not really expanding our infrastructure footprint very much by having them there.
Sure.
There's a few internal roads, streets that they're putting in, but it's already land that we're servicing as a city.
Gotcha.
So it's not that bad, actually. It's an infill.
Cool.
So its impact financially, really not a huge problem.
Yeah.
It's the ones on the very edge.
Have we done those recently?
About. There's one that's kind of coming down the pipeline a bit. Nothing's getting confirmed yet, but I did an analysis on this. This was discussed back in February. It's a very sparse development pattern.
Okay.
Partially because we don't really have like capacity out there in infrastructure. Like we would have to build a new pump to like build anything more intensive. We'd have to build like, if you know anything about sewer infrastructure, which I hope most people don't.
I do not.
We would have to put in like some new additional capacity to get things to work out there. It's not just a matter of putting pipes. We'd have to have pump stations and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It is somewhat capped in the amount of infrastructure you can put out there and the amount of like housing you can put out there. So there's a hard limit there. I did the analysis on the initial proposition and like how much the houses there would cost. It vaguely pencils out. It's like barely break even, but that's only because the houses are like $1 million.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like, I guess it's okay, but it's not exactly profitable for the city.
Yeah.
It's a break even.
$1 million on a house, not going to spend a ton of money in Batavia.
I mean, presumably they'll probably still use a local grocery store, or I don't know, they might use Amazon. You can't really pencil that out, and that's where these analyses do kind of get harder.
They're probably not going to downtown a lot.
Maybe not.
Not out there.
Not out there.
Yeah.
And you got to think about that.
And they're on the edge too, so they're on the edge of Batavia and what?
Nothing.
Oh.
Okay,
so they're coming
Hampton
to Batavia.
Hills or whatever.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, they're on the very western edge.
Okay.
So you have to wonder, like, they're just kind of out there, vaguely part of the community. The other thing about sales tax is it's hard to predict.
Yeah.
Because it's based on a lot of individual decisions that you don't know. Like property tax at the very least, you can know how your property tax is doing. Like you can model that very easily. It's a very stable source of income. Sales tax,
right.
Who knows?
Okay, so that's really granular, but
that's very
the
granular.
real question is, are people thinking about this?
Are people thinking about this? Kind of.
It sounds to me, honestly, if I can be honest, this is the one time I'm going to go in the other direction. It sounds like you're really locked into this.
I'm really locked into it.
And other people probably care a good amount.
They care.
As well.
I don't want to be dismissive of like.
I'm going to do a 10.
You're going to do a 10?
You don't agree? I can do 7 if you want to do
a 7.
Okay, let's do 7.
I think there are things that we need to be looking at more that I've been doing a better job in my life of making a point of saying, this is why this matters. And this last example, I got to do a whole presentation to council of like the numbers actually penciling out. And I think it changed a lot of minds and hearts, and like they saw, that's why you're a crazy person. That's good. Okay.
Well, that's the thing is the open-mindedness is like most of the battle, I think.
And it's changing minds and hearts.
Yeah, that's good. As we've been talking, the number of cars has drastically reduced over on the bridge. So
people are getting off
work. We might be closer to.
Might be closer. It's getting better.
All right, we're on question 10 now, right? This is the last one?
Question 10 is a really easy one.
Let's go.
It's an easy answer.
Yeah.
Does the city government spend no more than 10% of its locally generated revenue on debt service?
Ooh.
So in other words, paying for
that's
debt
easy.
and interest.
Yeah.
And we are absolutely not doing that, so it's a 1.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
you mean
easy,
a 10?
A 10,
yeah.
Whatever. It's the full score.
Excellent.
This is one of those, like, it's an easy yes/no answer.
Why does that matter?
Why does it matter? Because now you're not dependent on federal government or even the state government giving you handouts to pay for your everyday services.
Okay.
Like, you don't want that. That's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
It means that you're fragile.
Yeah.
You're not able to pay for your stuff.
You're on the brink at that point.
You're on the brink.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on the brink. We're pretty good about that.
Awesome.
We're very stable there. So
let's add up the numbers.
what do we get?
Got,
how do we do?
5, 15, 18. I'm bad at math.
Yeah.
20, 30, 40, 50, 60. We're already at 60.
Passing
7,
grade.
67,
Yeah.
77.
77.
That's pretty good.
C's get degrees.
C's, I would have loved a 77 in high school.
Yeah.
Last question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think we could do to become a stronger town? Now that we know that we are a strong town, I'll actually make this a dual question.
Yeah.
What's the thing that like we're at risk of doing that will make us less strong right now?
Okay.
And then what is the thing we could do that would make us stronger?
This is a hard question because it's one of those things. There's no easy answers with this.
Yeah.
And a big strong towns mentality is the easy answer is probably trying to lead you astray a little bit. It requires a lot of thought. It requires a lot of careful planning. I'm not that worried about Batavia. Mm-hmm. I think the mentality here, the community here is very cognizant of what makes it nice. I think the biggest fear I have is that the overall sprawl of Chicago will continue and we'll just be subsumed into it, kind of. And
what does that mean? What does that look like?
We just kind of start to lose our identity as a town.
But like, how concretely does that happen? It's hard for me to imagine how that would happen.
I think when we just start to be like surrounded by more development, especially on the periphery,
I see.
We kind of just blend into everything. Batavia is a little lucky in that
the nondescript developments.
That
makes sense to me.
Yeah. Batavia is a little lucky in that we're shielded somewhat by Fermilab and by there's a forest preserve on the west side of town. And we have Geneva and North Aurora on either side of us, and they do a good job of buffering us. We really can't grow outward very much more.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried there.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't have a lot of worries about Batavia.
Okay.
I think we can do better.
Yeah.
I think we can continue to improve and make a very wonderful place for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think my biggest fear is just that we'll get priced out. We can't afford it anymore.
Yeah.
We'll be too locked down on the type of housing types we allow, such that we become a little too bougie.
Okay.
Like $1 million homes everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yes.
I want this to be a place that people have a chance in. I think the Tri-Cities struggles with that in general. We're a very nice area, and I want to keep us nice.
Yep.
But I want to do that through this continued fostering of community. So allowing options in town for people, and I'm really not worried. Batavia is one of the strongest communities I've ever been in my life. Mm-hmm. I moved here and was able to be part of the community very quickly. This is a town that will create lifelong Batavians of anyone who moves here. I'm not worried about a large influx of people because the people will get subsumed into the Batavia hive mind almost immediately. It's a beautiful thing.
So what can we do to create a stronger Batavia?
I think what we can do to create a stronger Batavia is to continue to emphasize connectivity of transportation options.
Oh, good.
Right now, I think there's a big east-west divide, not caused by the river, caused by 31 over here and the hill associated with it. It's hard for me living on the east side of town to get to the west side of town on a bike or even by walking.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a divide. It'd be nicer if we had more connectivity on each side of town.
Yep.
I want to see us foster more local business, and Batavia Main Street does an excellent job of that.
Yeah.
There's more we could be doing, and they're definitely trying. They're doing everything they can. For an organization as small as they are
unbelievable.
A powerhouse.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What they've accomplished here, and they are nationally recognized.
They get a lot of flack because people see them as a part of the city, like a government-funded something.
Yeah.
And that is only because of the amount of work they are doing.
That's the amount of work they are doing, and also it's an investment the city is more than happy to make because the return on investment has been frankly incredible.
Yeah.
And I dare you to find a member of city council who would say otherwise.
Huh. Yeah.
Because
I'll work on that.
Everybody loves Batavia Main Street.
Yeah.
And it has been a treasure for our town. And there's so many more things we could be doing. And I say that knowing that we're doing so much, and I don't want to say it as, oh, why aren't you doing this? And it's
right.
Because there's
a
only
lot
so
of
much we can do.
opportunities out there.
It's so exciting. We have the momentum behind us,
Yep.
and I'm so excited to see that momentum take hold in other ways.
Yes.
I hope to contribute to that as much as I can, and I think we provide those opportunities to people to continue to contribute. The street shelter folks have done a great job of that. A lot of our boardwalk shops, they come in here and they become part of the town, and we have a very collaborative atmosphere, which is beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's just keeping that going and keeping that momentum going such that we can have these small businesses that are all interacting together and creating a vibrant, beautiful place. Vibrant's a bit of an overused word, I admit, but it does really capture like the spirit of it. I think that's the dream. If we can keep that local mentality going, if we can improve connectivity throughout our town such that it's easier to get around, I think that'll go a long way. And if we allow more options to let the good be easy, I think that's what we really need. And that's a hard ask.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sitting here like steaming and being mad all the time. Why aren't we doing this? It's like we're doing so much better than so many other towns.
Yeah.
We have done an incredible job already. I almost feel like my job being an advocate for this stuff is a little easy because we are so advanced.
Yeah.
Like I've been hanging out recently in like northwestern Chicago, which is a much more theoretically urban place. It's in the city. They have way more problems than we do in terms of their built environment because it's like 4-lane roads everywhere. It's like hard to get around. And it's a ton of traffic because you built for traffic.
Yeah.
Where here, it's so much more peaceful. It's it's peaceful not because it's sparse, because you're avoiding people, but because we've made a lot of good decisions. We're an older community that has those good bones that make for what we want. So when I say I want Batavia to be a strong town, I want it to be even more Batavian. I want to lean into that versus just being another suburb.
Full circle.
Full circle.
The idea of keeping what makes Batavia in Batavia.
Yeah.
That's what you mean. It's more structural than cultural.
Yeah.
Which I think that's an important distinction.
But yeah.
I don't love the cultural thing because, I don't know, we're getting on a rabbit trail now.
It seems like magic, like, oh, you just have the right people. And it's like, that's not it.
Right. And it also can just frankly turn into racism.
It can, or exclusionism, or like fear of others.
Yeah.
You don't want that. That's not a healthy mentality. That's not a healthy mentality in the long term.
Yeah.
You got to be there for people. That's like, it's the only way you have a society.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it all starts to break down, and everybody just starts eating each other. It's miserable.
That's a great place to end on.
So that's my hope. That's my hope for Batavia.
That's good. Thanks for listening to Area Code Batavia. If you'd like more of Area Code Batavia, or you'd like to support what we do, you can become a member of the 630. Just check out the link in the show notes. Or you can sign up for our newsletter. Just click the link in the show notes and enter your email address. Area Code Batavia is produced by Area Code Audio, a podcasting production and consulting agency that helps nonprofits and mission-driven organizations drive meaningful change through podcasting. Hosted by me, Richard Clark. Our co-host and associate producer is Alexa Swidenbank. Edited by Matt Linder. Additional production help from Jennifer Clark.